Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching us every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. So I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on the radio, icradio.media, television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. That's the Newscasters Studio. So happy to be part of that as well. And if you'd like to send an email, if you have any ideas about shows, or maybe you just like for me to do a little research for you, I'll be glad to do that. I love research, so you can send an email to donna@donnasedge.com. That's donna@donnasedge.com. So one of our listeners and watchers on television, she says she's calling from Louisiana, wanted me to go ahead and see if I could just answer some questions about voting. And I'd be glad to do that for you. Absolutely. So this is some of my research. I'm going to go ahead and pass that on to you. So here are a few questions, and we're going ahead and get started because we have quite a few questions. Number one, I turned in a voter registration application. Does that mean I am registered to vote? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through the process. Your voter registration application must first be approved by the County Board of Registrars. Okay, once your application has been approved, you should receive a notification from the registrars indicating the status of your application. Now, this notification will typically be a voter identification postcard, and what it will do is confirm that you are registered to vote. However, if your application was incomplete, you may receive a letter requesting additional information to complete your application. Now, if you're unsure about the status of your application, you should call your local Board of Registrars, or you can visit your website of your state. Mine is alabamavotes.gov. If you live in Louisiana, it would be louisianavotes.gov. So whatever your state is, votes.gov. Okay, now, this is a good one as well. I turned 18 after the voter registrar's registration deadline, but before the election. Can I vote in that election? Proud to say yes. Voters who will be 18 years of age on or before election day may submit a voter registration form prior to turning 18. Just make sure you follow the steps, okay? Because you don't want you to be surprised. Please note that the voter registration application must be received prior to the voter registration blackout, which is within 14 days of any election. So make sure you get plenty of time. Don't put it off. I know sometimes I do that too. And I'll think, well, I got plenty of time. I'll handle that later. I'm busy doing some. You need to. This is extremely important, so you need to go ahead and get that done. Okay, here's another one. I have moved from one part of the country to another. Can I still vote at my old polling place? No. Okay, you'll have to go to another one, but here's what you have to do. Now again, you have to go through the process, and it's not that difficult. So you must update your voter registration by either re-registering to vote online or by mailing in a new voter registration form to the Board of Registrars in your county. If you have moved within the county and have not updated your voter registration within 14 days of an election, contact your County Board of Registrars office for your new polling place. Now, you will be permitted to go to your new polling place, update your voter registration, and cast a provisional ballot. So let me tell you what we did. And I knew it could absolutely be an issue. So we live in an area that, sometimes we have an issue getting our mail. It still happens. Sometimes we get other people's mail, they get ours. And that needs to be fixed. But anyway, I couldn't wait on it to be fixed. So we were using a P.O. box because I have payments coming in from our sponsors and just different things. I've got to get my mail, and it can't get lost. It can't go to somebody else's mailbox. So I went on ahead and got a P.O. box, and I went on ahead and got the P.O. box in the next town up because I heard their mailing is much better than ours. So I went on ahead and got the P.O. box. Then we decided it was too much of a hassle because the prior I was going up into that area almost every single day, so it was handy for me to go ahead and drop off at that particular post office box and then come back home. Then the direction of things changed. So I went on ahead and discontinued that post office box and hoping to rely on the mail in my town, which is still difficult. But anyway, I knew that was going to happen. So before the last election, I went on ahead, Phil and I went on ahead and made sure, okay, that they weren't going to use the next town instead of the town I'm absolutely in. And don't assume that it's not automatically going to be done. Now, thanks to the town I was had the P.O. box in, they did everything in a swift, fast movement, okay? So it was not difficult at all. But you never know. See, a lot of folks' post offices now are short-handed, and so it could pose a problem. So even something as simple as I'm not using the post office box anymore, I'm using where I live as my mailing address, even that needs to be addressed. So again, make sure that this happens correctly. Okay, and this is kind of what this means right here. I've moved from one part of the county to another. Can I still vote at my old polling place? No, because you've got to vote where you live. Okay, I have moved. Oh, and let me tell you why. Because, I mean, think about this. Okay, so each town has a mayor. Each city has a mayor. So if it's something as important as actually voting for the mayor or maybe the city council folks, again, you got to be on top of things. Okay, here. I have moved from my county of residence. Can I still vote at my old polling place? Yeah, this is a total different question, because the first one was I've moved from one part of the county to another. I was looking to make sure I had that right. Okay, so then another one, I have moved from my county of residence. Can I still vote at my old polling place? No. Whether you've moved, it doesn't matter where you've moved to, you still got to. So if you're within your county and you've moved, you got to check with it, okay? And then if I'm outside of another county, move to the county, another county next over, you still cannot go to the old polling place. No. By signing in at your old polling place, you are falsely attesting that you still live at your old address. So any changes to a voter's registration information must be made within, again, 14. You got 2 weeks. I'd do a month out, okay, if I could, just to make sure that things are right. Okay, it must be made within 14 days of any election. Okay, so here's another one, and this is important. What if I make a mistake on my ballot? Okay, what if I make a mistake on my ballot? If you have not already placed your ballot in the electronic voting machine or ballot box, you may ask for a poll worker for another ballot. The poll worker will place your spoiled ballot in a designated secure area so it cannot be counted or reused. And we had a lot of people doing that. I worked in the town I'm in because my grandmother used to do it, so I went on ahead and worked at the polls. And so I saw that happening a lot. So people would say, oh, I didn't mean to do that one. So what I would do, we had a designated spot now that we would put, we call them spoiled ballots. Okay, and it doesn't mean anything bad. That just means that somebody just made a mistake. They did not mean to do whatever. So I went on ahead and I would give them another one. And then I would take the spoiled ballot, and again, we had a designated place all of those with. Now, we'll tell you this. I know in the county that I'm in, Todd Greason does a great job at making this happen, okay? So I know that the area I'm in, they're very, very diligent on making sure that the spoiled ballots are not counted in with the regular ballots. I don't know anywhere else, but I just will tell you that here it's done right. So, Todd Greason, thank you for what you do to make that happen. Okay, now, here's one right here. Is there a procedure when voting equipment fails? Yes. I've been to the trainings. I know how this goes. Yes, there are procedures poll workers will follow in the event the voting equipment has experienced technical difficulties. I mean, it could happen where we have a thunderstorm. We live in thunderstorm heaven here. So we could have a thunderstorm, the electricity could go out, a million different things can happen. Now, if the ballot tabulator is down, It is standard to have voters place their ballots in a secure bin below the tabulator. The ballots will be inserted into the tabulator by a poll worker at the close of polls. So here's the setup. This is what we had where I live. Okay, so you have this it's almost a setup, like the old printing machines back in the day, wherever you may have worked. It almost took over like an entire wall. Well, it's not that big. It's not that gigantic. But there's a place, it's kind of like a table. It's kind of like, almost like a filing table cabinet, kind of a sort of a thing. Does that make sense? But that's kind of what it is. So it's like a number of different things. Okay, so the ballot box, where you put your ballot, that sits on top of it. Okay, and I know where we were, it was foolproof. We made sure everything was exactly the way it should be. Okay, just under that, and it could be different this year. They could move things around, make things a little bit different. So different compartments. So there's a place where you would put the spoil ballot, so that can't get mixed up with the other ballots. And it's totally on the other side of it. So that makes it very, very convenient. You can't mess this up. Okay, I know what you're thinking. There's corruption goes on at the ballot place. In some there are, but I'll just have to say in ours it wasn't. Okay, we were very, very strict about things. So you got where people put the ballot. Okay, so you can't, there's not even a place that you could accidentally put the spoiled ballots on that side. So we made sure so what I would do is I would take the spoiled ballot, give them another ballot, and then the guy who was actually in charge of helping people, I handed it off to him, and then he would make some mark, whatever he needed to mark. He would put it, and there's nowhere to put it on this side. So he would have to put it on this side, and there it would go. So that's how absolutely clean we held it. And I just hope and pray that everybody else in every town, every city, any province, whatever, of the United States will run it just as clean as we did. Again, we wanted it to be done right. Let's go into a commercial break, and we're going to come back with more questions. I got plenty of them right here. Before I finish with that, though, before we go into a break, this is really important. So if the equipment fails, we said, yeah, because the ballots will be inserted into the tabulator by a poll worker. So in other words, if you mess up the ballot, you're not going to be able to go and put it in there. As a matter of fact, if I had messed up a ballot, even though I was helping, I couldn't put it in there. I would have to get somebody else to put the ballot into the spoiled ballots, okay? All right, now let me go ahead and finish this, because this is part of it as well. So campaigning outside the polling place is prohibited. We're going to be talking about that when we come back in just a few minutes. So I want you to hang tight, okay? We'll be right back from the commercial break.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634 2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast now. That's on the net, thenewscasters.com, thenewscasters.com. And it's the Newscaster Studio. Truth really does matter there, too. I'm going to tell you, a lot of wonderful talk show hosts are out there. So I'm just glad to be part of it. Glad they let me come and hang out with them. So there you go. We're talking about questions when it relates to the election. It doesn't matter which election it is, okay? So it can be the primary, it can be a runoff election, it can be the big election. So all of those questions apply right here, okay? And by the way, you can go to your website, and your website, whatever state you're watching me from. Okay, so mine in Alabama is the www.alabamavotes.gov. If you live in Alaska, it's the w's.alaskavotes.gov. So whatever state you're in, you're going to be able to pull up your particulars, and you'll be able to find the questions here that I'm reading to you right now. And if there's anything any different, you'll be able to see it out there. But basically, it all works the same. Okay, now another question is about people like I'm running for office. I'm not running for office. I'm just using myself as an example. So if I were running for office, there are polling places. Campaigning outside the polling place is prohibited. So that's a good question right here. Okay, so however, this activity must not be closer than 30 feet from the entrance of the polling place. So I can't stand outside right at the door when people are running in and out. First of all, the people are in a hurry, they're working, and want to get home to supper and all that. So we want to make it as convenient for people as possible. You can stand outside, but no closer than 30 feet, okay, from the entrance of the polling place. Now, if the polling place is located in a room within the building, which a lot of the big cities, I know Charlotte, North Carolina was that way because they're huge, the campaigning must not be closer than 30 feet from the entrance of the building. If a candidate or their supporters are campaigning within 30 feet of the entrance of the polling place, and you see it, or I see it, or folks who are working there, and they're working at the polling place, you've got to notify the chief inspector of the polling place, okay? Because things have to be done right, okay? Now we keep talking about this. We want the elections to be fair. Well, then everything has to be fair. Okay, here's another one. Can a candidate assist me in marking my ballot? Yes, if you specifically ask the candidate to help you. The only people who cannot assist a voter are the voter's employer, or an agent of the voter's employer, or an officer or agent of the voter's union. They cannot help, okay? Now, let's say if you are running for election, running for office, this is a good question. Can I wear campaign buttons or t-shirts with political advertisements on the polling place? Yes, you can do that. However, here's a big however, you should not loiter or leave any campaign materials in the polling place. You can't do that. Now, if constitutional amendments are included on the ballot, must I vote for them? No, you don't have to do that. You're not required to vote on constitutional amendments. And I'll have to tell you what, every time we have amendments, I have somebody come on the show and talk about those, because I promise you they are so confusing in the way they're written. And it's like when I'm in school again. You'd have this true and false test. The multiple, where I could pick an answer out of multiple answers I could do. But I always freaked out, and I would freeze when it would come to the true and false questions, because I was always looking for that one word that would change the meaning to the whole sentence. So that's why I get nervous about the amendments. To me, it's the way they're written. Because I may pick a word and think, no, that's not the way that's not what that means. That's not that. And I may have it totally wrong. So we will have somebody talking about the amendments. Now, you're not required to vote on constitutional amendments. Races on the ballot. Participation is your choice. Now, what happens if I do not want to declare a political party preference at the primary election? Okay, here's the nitty-gritty on that. So if you choose not to declare a political preference at the primary election, you will not be eligible to vote. You will not be eligible to vote in any political party's primary election. However, you're still eligible to vote on any proposed constitutional amendments that are up for vote. So you'll only be able to vote for the amendments. That's so confusing. Okay, here's another one. We got time for these three. Okay, I voted in my political party's primary election. My party is not having a runoff. Can I vote in the other party's runoff election? No, you can't. Okay, so Alabama has a crossover. This is Alabama. You got to check with your state. Alabama has a crossover voting law that prohibits anyone who voted in one party's primary from voting in another party's primary runoff. If you do not vote in the primary election, you may vote in any party's primary runoff election. Okay, and then a little bit later on, before election, we're going to talk about and dig a little bit more about that one. There's a page for crossover voting rules, and we'll jump on that. Okay, here is another very important one. I want you to be careful, okay, with this one. Can I take a cell phone into my polling place? Yes, you can take your cell phone in there. However, listen to this. Use of the phone in the polling place should not disturb other voters or disrupt the polling place. I worked there. Okay, I didn't even use my cell phone. If I had to use it, I went outside and used it because I didn't want anybody thinking I was doing something. You know, rumors can get started in a small town. So I did not want any rumors beginning that Donna did this. Oh, Donna did that at the polling place. I didn't want that to happen. So I was very, very careful with that. Now, I did take my cell phone in because I own a business. So what I would do is excuse myself on a break. I wasn't like back and forth doing anything. So on a break, I would go outside or I'd go to the restroom and I would check my messages that way and take my notes if I had to send emails for some of my sponsors or you guys ask any questions. I try to answer questions every single day. I try to do that. So anyway, for what that's worth, you can bring it in. Don't be loud. Don't play commercials because now see we have movies and we have all this other stuff on our cell phones. Don't do anything that's going to, I would say, don't do anything that's going to influence a vote of one other person or another. Okay, now, this is another good one because of our camera phones right here. So here's the question. Can I take photographs inside my polling place? Yes. You know the next word, however. An individual may only take a photograph of their own ballot. Taking other photographs within the polling place may intimidate other voters and is not allowed. That's a good question right there. I know I've seen people doing selfies and stuff like that. That's good. As a matter of fact, I've done that. I went like this. I voted and took a little selfie like that. I voted. And so you can do little things like that, but be very careful. Now, some people, maybe if they're still pondering, like, do I need to vote for Jack or Joe? Which one do I need to vote for? And they're still pondering that. You don't want to interrupt the thoughts of other people because voting is a sacred thing. I mean, in my book, it is. I mean, I thought everybody voted. I didn't know that there were some of y'all out there who don't vote. You must vote. Okay, that way you can have a say-so in things. So, again, the whole thing is there are things you can do and things you cannot do. There are things that are not written. One thing that would be written that you can't do is disturbing other people. Okay, I am a conservative. I don't even really consider myself a Republican at this point because there's some Republicans I don't care for, and I'm most certainly not a Democrat, and I think everybody's already figured that out. Okay, so I vote based on the person more than anything else. And I will say this, within my own party, if I find out that a Republican is a rhino, but another person is running for office and I have a choice, I'm not going to choose the rhino. So I think you all kind of get where I'm coming from. But don't influence other people. And let me tell you something I thought was absolutely sweet and amazing. I saw a number of people bringing their kids in. I'm going to call you a kid if you're under 62. So I saw a lot of folks bringing their kids in, and the kids were voting for the absolute first time. And I'm going to tell you what, every one of those parents who did that, I walked over there and thanked them for it. I said, that is amazing you're doing that. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And what I liked is the parents were not even influencing their kids. They were just proud to know that they wanted to vote. And you need to be that way with your kids too. It's a huge thing, getting driver's license and then voting. Those are two really important things in a young person's life. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media, television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundance Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for watching. You make my day.